The day is finally here. Hardcore Classic WoW is finally out. And yes, I know I'm a little bit late. It's been out for a few days at this point, but I've been working on this video, so I can't get it out the same day it comes out. But everybody's on their journeys, trying to make it to level 60 without dying. And everybody's also making videos of their journeys. And I am here to also make a video of my journey, but I wanted some way to make my journey different. Some sort of goal in mind other than just making it to 60 without dying. So I'm doing a very old challenge. This challenge was made many years ago from a fellow YouTuber, Nixium. This is the Lord of the Rings challenge. Now, I am going to say, Nixium, I'm sorry, because I'm not going to do all the rules of the Lord of the Rings challenge. This challenge did have many rules, but I'm going to take the rule set and just make it way more simple. No, like millions of rules, just very simple, clear goal to keep in mind while I'm playing. So for me to complete this challenge, what I have to do is I have to get the One Ring. Because yes, in World of Warcraft Classic, you can get the One Ring. And once I get the One Ring, I must take it and destroy it in Mordor, aka Blackrock Mountain. Now, it seems very simple at first, but as we're going to find out, this is going to take a very long journey. And the journey starts on day 1, and I was getting ready to play Classic WoW Hardcore the second the servers went up. And what exactly character am I going to make for this journey? Well, I was going to make a Dwarf Warrior. And I thought, for some reason, that if I made my Dwarf Warrior the second the realms came up, I would be able to get the name Gimli, and just be Gimli from Lord of the Rings. And well, I was very disappointed, because within 10 seconds of the server being up, somebody already took the name Gimli from me. So you know what? It's fine. It's no big deal. But I'm sure he's not trying to get the One Ring and take it to Mordor. So I went with the name Gim Jim. And Gim Jim was ready to hop in on Hardcore Classic Day 1. And I also, on this challenge, in my own time, I'm going to be rewatching the Lord of the Rings series, you know, all the movies. Obviously, I can't do it in the video, but trust me, I'm going to be doing it off camera. But day 1 of Classic WoW Hardcore was absolute chaos. The second the servers went up, dwarves and gnomes overflowed Cold Ridge Valley. There was so much competition for mobs, the first few quests alone felt like they took half an hour. Every single mob spawn point had a group of people around it ready to tag it the second it came up. And the first mini-boss, Grinkner the Cold, had an absolute mob of people waiting for him every time he spawned. And there were so many people that within a millisecond of him spawning, he would just die from everybody auto-attacking him a single time. So many people were hitting him that when I was actually finally able to get the first tag, I only got 2 XP from killing him. And after a long, grueling first hour, I was finally able to leave Cold Ridge Valley. And I was able to move on to Keranos. And man, the entire starting zone was still crawling with players. It was a competition to even kill boars. I will say, for the first while, it felt like it'd be impossible to die. Just because with the amount of people all over the place, everywhere just felt safe. The Yeti Cave had so many people in it that there was no threat at all. But there was a troll cave that was a little bit scary, and I did almost die once in it. I don't know where all the people were for there. I don't know if Laring started coming into effect at that point. But the amount of people in the world was just something I loved seeing. This is why I play almost every WoW launch, whether it's Classic, retail, everything. I love the launch. I love seeing tons of people because it's always fun even when there's chaos. And the best part was, at least on the NA servers, we didn't have any login queues either. So there was tons of people and you could just log on whenever you wanted without having to sit there for hours. Even the amount of people that were trying to fight Vagash, the big elite Yeti, it almost kind of felt like a low-level world boss. There was like 10 people around when we killed him. I did watch this one hunter. He got jumped by trogs and died as soon as he got his pet. I kind of felt bad, but there was really nothing I could do about it. But eventually, I got to level 10, and I was ready to do my warrior quest. First, they sent me to kill some big bad troll leader, and he was nothing. And then they wanted me to head to a place called Iron Band's compound and steal something from inside. I was a little nervous, you know, but I guess somebody already cleared house because, well, I was able to just walk into the compound, steal the stuff, and then just walk right out without having to fight a single mob. And after this, I was ready to leave the snow, and I headed on to Loch Modan, and seeing grass and just green in general was great. And I headed up north to take on the kobold threat. But little did I know, I would be adding to the statistics. There wasn't any kobolds around the outside of the cave, and I was pretty impatient, so I wandered inside. And on the first kobold I charged at, it was over. That kobold pulled 2 more kobolds with him, so I instantly made a run for it, and they just kept dazing me. It was rough. And yeah, looking back, maybe there's more I could have done. And I did pop a potion, and maybe I could have hamstringed some more, but it's best just to not look back on it, alright? Because at the end of the day, they got me, and I was dead, and I was not able to come back. At this point, I was pretty sad. The first 7 hours of my journey were just completely gone. And I also came to the realization that if I wanted to make it far in hardcore, I needed to say goodbye to the Alliance. Because, well, I know Horde better than everything because, well, I've just played Horde a million times over, and I haven't really played Alliance except for maybe one time in vanilla. And hardcore is not the place to learn if you don't know where you're going. So I went back to the place I know best, Durotar. I was ready to restart, and it was still possible to get the one ring on the Horde. And since I made an orc, it still kind of makes sense because, hey, there are orcs in Lord of the Rings. And my final goal was still to get the one ring and take it to Mordor and destroy it. Now, maybe this is because it was midnight, but starting again on Horde 7 hours later now, it was nearly a ghost town. I don't know if it was a layering issue or what was going on, or maybe there was more players on the Skull Rock server, but whatever. I got through the starting zone no problem this time, and the only place I struggled a little bit was in the Kultiran base, so I went back to Razor Hill and I recruited a small team, and we went together and we wrecked the place. And at that point, it was getting pretty late, so I decided to head to sleep and get ready for day 2. Now, day 2, I was ready to get some work in, and I got a lot done. I got through the rest of the Durotar quests, beating the Echo Isles, taking on Fizzle. There was no issues there. When I got to Skull Rock, though, things got a little bit tricky. For those who have played hardcore, you know Skull Rock is a scary place. But there was a fair amount of players around where it wasn't too scary, and at one point, this undead invited me to a group, and I accepted thinking we'd be working together, but he immediately jumped down to fight Gaz Ooze, who is a level 14 with many mobs guarding him too. Now, I was only level 11, and this undead just jumped straight into the fight and got wrecked. I kind of felt bad, but he jumped right into that, and he died. So I ran, and I hearthed out of there. So I said forget Gazooz, and I'm gonna skip him. So after this, I was ready to head home, also known as the Barrens. I know a lot of people aren't really big fans, but I personally love the Barrens and the amount of time you spend there. There's not really any scary caves except for the Wailing Caverns, but you don't go in there alone anyways. So with the whole zone being open areas and me being a hunter this time, I felt pretty safe, and I didn't have too many troubles. I only had one close call on day 2, and it was to the Centaurs. I was going to take on one of the Centaur leaders of the Barrens, Hezrul Bloodmark, who was level 19 when I was only 16, and he has 2 bodyguards with him. This was foolish to try at this level, but I was a hunter, so it seemed possible. I took him on, sending my pet in as bait for the Centaurs while I shot at the boss. And I wouldn't have killed him, honestly, if it wasn't for another hunter that jumped in and helped me out. But as I was looking at my map after we killed him, 2 more Centaurs and a hyena hyper-spawned on me, and I made a run for it, and I barely made it out alive. And I honestly would have been dead, but earlier in the day, a random warlock gave me a health stone, and I held on to it. Little did he know it would be the difference between my life and death in that moment. And the worst part of the whole encounter was, Hezrul Bloodmark wasn't even the right Centaur boss I was supposed to be going after at the time. So it was all for nothing. So I went and killed the correct one and then went back for Hezrul again after. And before the night ended, I wanted to do something big to end the night on. So I went for my first dungeon, Ragefire Chasm. Now, dungeons and group content are pretty scary and hardcore. So I'm going to be really picky with which dungeons I'm going to do, and I'm going to especially skip ones that are scarier. And if I ever get to level 60, I am not stepping in any raids. I'm sorry, I'm not risking my life like that. But Ragefire Chasm was no problem. We killed it pretty easily. There was only one pull that we did that we pulled a little bit much, and it was kind of scary, but we were fine. And after we cleared out the chasm, the war chief himself, Thrall, bestowed upon me the Axe of Orgrimmar. And now that day 2 was coming to an end, well, I needed to start working towards getting the One Ring. And I know you've probably been wondering, how do I get the One Ring? This is the main thing we're after in this series. How do we get it? Well, you only get it in the most epic gameplay there is in World of Warcraft, That's right. Fishing. Lots and lots of fishing. I don't think anybody really knows the chance of fishing up the ring, but it is very, very rare. So it might take some time. So I've decided that every day on this challenge, I'm going to spend the first few hours and the last few hours of every day just fishing. I've already gotten my fishing skill up to 150 in the second day, and I even got this cool offhand fish weapon. It's kind of sick. I mean, it doesn't do anything, but it's cool to have. But yes, at this point, it did hit me how long this challenge may take. Not only because do I have to get the 1 ring from fishing, and who knows how long that'll take, I also need to get to a high enough level and powerful enough to make it to Blackrock Mountain with my life still intact. And I thought about doing this whole challenge in one video, but then we'd probably be waiting many weeks for a video on the channel, and I want to upload pretty regularly. So I hope you're ready to strap in, because it looks like this is going to be a mini-series here on the channel. And I will see you guys in the next episode of the Lord of the Rings Hardcore Challenge.